Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good night to some people. My name is Dorian Halimi, and I will be presenting with my brother, Florian Halimi, on our invention, the Green Utility Pole, otherwise known as GUP for short. So to start, we have to identify the problem that we wanted to try and solve and help with. So the problem that we thought was very important for us to deal with was global warming. Global warming is the product of human-induced warming on the Earth's system. More specifically, CO2 emissions and other gases that absorb sunlight and solar radiation that ultimately pollutes our planet. Now, our invention focuses more on one specific aspect of global warming, which is called the greenhouse effect. So the reason that we decided to our research progress. So we did some basic research on what are the leading causes of global warming. We discovered that electricity and heat production, industry, agriculture, transportation, and other modes of creating energy are the leading factors. However, more importantly, we did research of the amount of emissions being let out into the atmosphere by country. Living in the United States and seeing that we were a great 15% of the emissions being released, we decided that was not good enough for our country, as we were completely topping the entirety of Europe. Brainstorming. We wanted something that could be easy to install. We decided to build off of something that has a vast majority in the United States, the utility poles. In the United States alone, there's 180 million utility poles already in use. Our invention simply slides on top of the existing utility poles and is more cost efficient than just creating something from brand new. We wanted it to be able to make a difference in the world. Our invention is 6 feet by 4 feet. And then it can generate up to 64.8 billion watts from just solar panels alone that are on our invention, as it consists of both solar energy and wind energy, as my brother will describe in the next slide. But the main point is that our invention can power over 5 New York cities with just solar panels alone.
Okay, so our design, the GUP, is has a fail-safe system with vertical wind turbines, as you can see here, and the solar panel on top. So like if it's a cloudy day, the vertical wind turbines will do the work for them, for the solar panel, and do most of the work. And if it's a sunny day but there's like no wind, then the solar panel will do most of the work and generate most of the electricity. Now let me do a quick demonstration real quick of the vertical wind turbine. So as you saw by that very quick demonstration, the vertical wind turbine did spin, generating electricity to light up this LED. I also have cords connected to the solar panel that go out the bottom to test it, and you can just attach the LED there to test that. As well as the materials, I decided to use PVC.
Hello.
You seem to have
We
lost
cannot
audio.
hear.
Hello,
Are you
we are
back?
so sorry. Yeah, we're back. Our internet just decided to go out
Sure,
right as
no
our
problem.
presentation started.
No problem. I think
So
we can restart your presentation. Is it okay for
do you want to, do you want to start it from the way top, or do you want us to start from where we left off?
We'll give it back to the advisor. Do you have any suggestion?
I think in the spirit of time, let's start from where you guys left off.
Okay, no
That's
worries.
great.
That's fine.
That works. I remember where I left off.
We had like a minute and 30 seconds left. I'm so sorry about
No
this.
problem. It's okay.
It happens.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm going to reshare the screen if you guys are okay with that.
Yes.
Okay. Are we all good?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the GUP is made out of PVC because PVC is strong and sturdy, as well as this PVC column down here. The brown is supposed to represent the utility pole that it slides onto. Now, originally we did use cardboard for our first prototype, but since cardboard creases really easily, we had trouble with it bending, so we switched to PVC because it's rigid and strong. Now, on top of that, we did end up testing it. Wait, no, I mentioned the testing. Wait, did I mention the testing or?
Just mention it again, you're fine.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so to test it, we tested it outside well, it was sunny and it was also a little bit windy, so we saw the vertical wind turbine spin as well as switching the LED to the cords to make it light up from the solar panel. Now, during our design process, we ended up learning how to solder because I accidentally ripped off this cord a couple times, and I went on YouTube, learned how to solder, and I'm quite the master of it. Now back to you, Dorian.
Okay, so basically what makes our device different than anything that exists out there, after countless hours of Google searching and doing research with a few electrical engineers, we discovered that our invention was the only thing like this. We are the only invention that has a fail-safe program, meaning that there are solar panel and turbines to create two different sources of energy in case, say, one day it's cloudy and the solar panel doesn't work at maximum efficiency. The wind turbines will still be able to support enough power to keep everything moving slowly and vice versa, moving perfectly and vice versa. So that's it for our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I can give the time for the advisors to give any feedback, please.
I have a question. I want to make sure I understood. Why did you pick the top of utility poles? There's tops of buildings. There's lots of other places you could put it. Why utility poles?
So we thought that utility poles would be the easiest way to actually transfer our energy, as there's already a system of, like, you know how they are all connected with like wires and cables. We thought that it'd be really easy to just transfer our energy using that. So that's why we decided utility poles.
And then also utility poles already have a perfect design to just slip something on top of. So I thought it would be easiest instead of just like making all types of crazy designs to go on top of buildings, because you know buildings have different types of roofs and all of that.
That's an important, that's a very astute observation. You guys should definitely make sure you share that with people, because I think that's very important. Buildings are very different, and you don't have the power always in the convenient spot, whereas poles you do. So that's a very good point.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. So it's very creative and innovative, but using wind turbines on large scale, like you want to replicate it to multiple poles, right? So when wind turbines are used in large scale, won't it create an environment issue? Like, already like we read a lot about like, how it's affecting the birds and so many other things, even bees are getting affected. So won't it create an impact when it's used in large scale?
So the vertical wind turbines are not supposed to be that large on the actual design. On the full scale design. So the vertical wind turbines about 4 feet tall, and since they're vertical, they should also deter the birds more than the normal horizontal wind turbine, because the birds have right now problems with flying into the propellers, but this will look like a column while spinning, so hopefully the birds will avoid it.
Does that answer your question necessarily, or?
Sort of, yes, I would say.
Okay.
How does the efficiency of, and just again, not looking for really technical stuff, but you're talking about having lots of small little generators. Is that because you think it's more efficient than having very large generators, or do you like the idea of having sort of personalized generators for just an individual's house?
So basically the idea was that, let's say half of the power grid goes down, you still have the other half generating electricity. So yeah, like you said, personalized generators, instead of let's say the one big generator goes down and that's it, there's no more green energy being produced.
Okay.
So how much does each unit produce electricity? Like, how many watts does it produce?
So I actually believe I had that on the slideshow.
Yeah, it was in the large scale, like, and the total, like if it's used on all the poles. So like how much is each unit, like, that 4 feet unit, how much electricity does it produce?
So on average, each of them can produce up to 6 million kilowatts in a year based on the rough calculations that we did.
Yeah, and that's just the solar panels alone, not just the vertical wind turbines.
And how much average households used electricity? Do you have that numbers?
Our research did not conduct like that extensive. However, that is something that we definitely have to look into. However, like coming from the United States, there is, I would say, just like off a rough guess, I think more people are using electricity than more like people that aren't. So overall, this will benefit like the globe, like the United States as a whole, more so the entire world, because like ultimately global warming is a problem. It's only going to get worse. And if we don't do, this is like a small step toward solving global warming, because it's going to be an issue in my lifetime. It's going to be an issue in my kids' lives. So basically it's about going forth and trying to make a difference now.
Yeah, and on top of that, we did do our calculations using cities instead of just households. So for example, just the solar panels alone generate enough electricity to power over 5 New Yorks. So yeah.
And
So-
what do you estimate? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead, Sam. Please, Sam.
What do you estimate the cost of this unit to be?
So actually we did the calculations for that. So roughly it is more cost effective than the average like coal facility, coal power plants. Basically to set up one unit, it's gonna be around like $600 in full scale, because we're gonna be using materials such as like scrap metal, which you can find like the idea is reusing things. We're not trying to use products that haven't to be created. We're trying to save as much energy as we can, and that's why we decided to create something like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're talking a pretty sizable investment, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you foresee where it's applicable and use it? Is it in each household or more for the commercial?
I feel like this could be used really anywhere, as like the idea of having those utility poles, setting it up on the utility poles, is we get access to a lot of different areas, whether that be households, whether that be cities. It's more just to improve the environment as a whole rather than focus on just houses. We also want to focus on getting that power to the cities, as city life is a lot more populated than just a simple household.
Yeah, and as we move on, we definitely will try to get in contact with governors in order to try to push it into bills and legislation to get a lot of these installed, as our main target market is the government so far.
All right.
Yeah, so both of them will work together, the turbine and the solar panel, or one at a time? Like, is there a
Both systems
Yeah.
should be running at the same time.
same
The idea of
time?
having two is like it's fail safe, as we said. If one of them's not working at the maximum efficiency, the other one will still provide enough power, and vice versa.
All right. Thank you so much. Time's up. So I think it's very interesting to be discussed, right? Good job, everybody.